Hi everyone, and welcome to day 7 of the Spiritual Connection Challenge. I'm so grateful there's more and more people jumping on board for this and letting me know that you're all feeling great and that you're learning a lot. So I'm excited about that, and I'm grateful that you are here with me doing this. It makes it all worthwhile, you know. It's the vibe that we can build that makes all the difference, and it helps all of us to realize that there's people out there that are like us, that there are like minds, that there are people going through similar things. So share this with your friends, comment, let other people know that it's going on, because I don't know when I'm going to get the time to do anything like this again. And I'm basically giving you a course of spiritual information free. So it's my pleasure to do it for you. So today we're talking all about the third eye and your intuition. How could we do a spiritual connection challenge without talking about all of that? So what I also want to acknowledge is that today, if you're watching this live or on the day, it is a new moon here in Australia. And even if you're watching it in the next few days, the new moon, the influence of the new moon is going to continue for 2 or 3 days either side of it. And it's important to know that a new moon signifies the ending of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one. And to have this happening right now at a time where there are just enormous shifts going on, we've been getting so much energy flowing into us, into the planet, lots of light energy coming to help counteract and balance the decades and centuries of heavy negative energies, darker energies that have been, for the main part, controlling a lot of humanity. So we're right in the midst of a very important ascension process. And to have this right now at the end of the year, this new moon, and I'm being told by the angels that this is a really important message for you to get around this new moon. Now, the world around us feels chaotic. It feels uncomfortable. There's a lot of mixture of fear going on, and lots of energies that are trying to wrestle for their ego to have a place of control or power. And so it's really important to recognize that, and also to be aware, because we're also much more aware of what goes on in the world now because of the internet, which is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful way to connect. It's amazing that I can be here sitting in my office, in the village that I live in, in Australia, and talking to people in America, in the UK, in Europe, in Asia. So these are miraculous times, and there's always, on everything, there's always a spectrum, because we live in a duality. Earth is a duality. We come here to learn and to grow and to gain wisdom for our souls. And in this duality, everything's on a spectrum. There's a good side and there's a bad side. So on the good side, we get to connect. On the negative side, we also get to be connected to a lot of chaos. Things that perhaps without the internet, we wouldn't even know were happening, and wouldn't trigger our adrenal system, wouldn't trigger our fears, wouldn't put us into a state of stress. So we have to be aware of how the chaos in the world affects us, how it affects you. How do you feel when you're scrolling through your news feed? How do you feel when you're watching or listening to the news? How do you feel when you get out in the world? At the moment, we've got bushfires going on all up the east coast of Australia, and where I am, there are several bushfires in sort of a circular area around this town. So we're getting a lot of smoke, which not only is unhealthy for us to breathe, intensely unhealthy, it has an effect on us on many different levels. Like, we don't see the sun so much. Everything feels dirty and grubby and covered in ash. And on an energetic level, there's this feeling of chaos and fear and out of control. So we have to be aware of those things, and then we have to counteract it with our knowledge, our awareness, our spiritual and energetic self-care. Because if we don't do that, we can get swept up. And if you watch yesterday's video, I talked all about that, how fear affects us. It's important to exactly know how fear affects you. as a human, as an empath, as an individual sensitive human being. And that is why it's more important than ever, the angels were saying to me this morning, that you learn to develop, trust, and follow your intuition. And because the problem is that when you're tuned in to fear, to chaos, maybe it's happening in America, maybe it's happening in the Amazon, maybe it's happening somewhere where you don't live, you are still picking up on that energy, and that can affect you, and it can make you make decisions. It can make you feel unwell. It can make you want to shut down old trauma responses, fight, flight, or freeze, shut down, go invisible, hide. And you actually start to block your intuition, and you're not responding from that central place of what is right for me in this moment. Instead, you're responding from the mass consciousness fear energy. Does that make sense? So the angels are pulling in very close at the moment with all of these energy shifts, with all of, a lot of which is scheduled. It is meant to happen. We are going through almost an evolution. Well, it is an evolution where we are coming back, devolution in a way, because we're coming back to the natural humanity who we are. We are spiritual beings. We are gifted with intuition, with much more power and ability than we realize. And we're coming back to that place, recognizing our own individual power to use it for the greater good, for the highest good of all, but also for the greater good of ourselves. And that's not just in the acquisition of material stuff. It's about being able to create heaven on earth for ourselves and for others, so that we remember that we are all one, we're all in this together, and that we can be peaceful. We don't have to be warring, conflicted beings. So the angels today wanted me to teach you a little bit about intuition, to give you the ability to use this new moon energy right now, to not tune into the chaos and the confusion and the lower energy vibes that are around. Remember, we're in the dark of the moon, so we're in the shadow time. So a lot of people out in the world are expressing that shadow with no kind of barriers. They haven't got a boundary around it, because they haven't come to a spiritual awareness, a spiritual realization of who they are and what this life is really about. So they're expressing from their fear, from power, from a negative power, not the higher power. And so that can be very disconcerting. So as I said yesterday, remember why you're here. You're a light worker. You're here to spread love and light. You're here to invite the love and light into your own life. And so coming back to the intuition, it's about being able to create the life that you want in a way that is completely aligned with your highest good, with your soul's path and contract this lifetime, with the connection to your spiritual team, the angels, the guides, the ascended masters that are with you, who are supporting you on this journey, staying in touch with them. Because when you get caught up in that fear, it's very difficult to hear, listen to, and follow that intuitive guidance, that guidance that is there for you. This period of the full moon is very much, the new moon, is very much around the ability here at this point in the year for you to create abundance, wealth, prosperity for 2020. So this is an amazing time right now for you to sit down and write down what you want to manifest. What's your vision for 2020? What is it that you want to create? And to create it in a way that you are also calling up that prosperity, you're calling up that success, you're calling up the support that you want. Sorry, smoky. And as you call up that support and you tune into and ground into the earth, tune into spirit, connect with your angels, you will start to manifest not just the result of what you're thinking of, but a plan in order to create it. So this new moon is all about strategy. And I really want you to think about that. So many people say, okay, I want this, I want that, I want that, but they don't think about, how am I going to get there? And often I will say the how is not up to you. It's not up to you to worry about the how, because spirit is very creative, right? But you have to be open to seeing that there is a path there for you that you will need to walk physically to create what it is that you want. So maybe you've got a business and it's time for you to let go of some things that don't work or don't give you pleasure anymore, and to replace it with something that is more aligned with your new vision, with what you want to do, because we're always growing and evolving. Maybe you are starting a business and you know what you want, but you just quite haven't figured out what exactly you're going to create, what you're going to put. So this is the time to start calling up that in through your intuition, to start to bring in the how and the why and what you're going to do. And I think many light workers get stuck in that. And it's something, I did a program last year called Rich Radiant Angel, which was probably my most successful program. And it's a one-on-one 6 or 12 weeks with me. And what happened with that is a few people who showed up to that said they thought I was going to do it for them. So what I was doing was helping them to identify and clear the energy blocks, the sabotage, the ways that they were unconsciously blocking themselves, and then helping them to call up this vision, and then to call in the clients, the energy, the money, the business that they needed, and helping them to get that guidance. I was sort of like acting as a channel for that guidance, so that then they would go out and have to enact the plan. And I think that's something that spiritual people sometimes get caught up in, is that you go, I've been manifesting this, I've been doing all the right thing, I've been asking the angels for months and months and months, and nothing has happened. And that's because there is an action to take. There's something that you need to do in order to trigger the universe to bring you the next step. And this is what you're getting right now. Put out your manifestations for the new moon, and then spend the next week, 2 weeks in conscious meditation with the intention of receiving the guidance as to how it's going to happen. And that is going to make all the difference to next year, the angels are saying. And that's why they're saying to you, you need to unplug as often as possible from the chaos, because it's compelling and energetically it can hook into you, drama. It's actually cluttering up your third eye and your adding fear, which is blocking you from being able to take steps in the directions of your dreams. Do you get that? Do you hear it? You've been feeling paralyzed because you're too tuned in, too plugged in, too wired in to drama and to mass consciousness, social media, your phone. It's actually putting you into a state of paralysis, and you're zoning out from what your guidance is, which is coming in for you, and you're being pulled towards through these hooks. They're almost like, the angels are showing me, they're almost like a fish hook on the end of a line, that you see something on social media and it baits you and you go, oh, I'm gonna go and look at that. And it's drama, negativity. And, you know, the dark energy is got you temporarily. So you've got to unhook from drama of all kinds and come back to, I'm making space in me, and for the angels, for the guidance, for my intuition to activate. Am I in your head? No, but the angels are, Joe. This is the thing, people say this to me a lot in my readings. It's like, how did you know? And I'm like, well, I'm bringing through what the angels are giving me. So this is about calling up a new plan. And this is why at the moment as well, I'm offering, and I know now why the angels told me to offer it, I'm offering this 3-session program for entrepreneurs, light workers, healers who want help bringing through that guidance and clearing their blocks to success. So if you want to book a 3-session package with me, get in touch and we'll do that, and we will get your plan ready for 2020. So intuition and the third eye, this is the message that the angels are saying. You've got to clear energy often. You've got to clear energy often, particularly, they said, chakras. Now, I don't know if you know this as an intuitive, empathic light worker, that we have, most of our chakras follow the spine. So we start at the crown chakra, go down to the base chakra at the bottom of the spine, and then we've got the heart chakra, third eye, throat. They're in a line. That's what I'm saying to you. So when you are grounded, see day 2 for the grounding, you are plugging, you're grounding in the chakras, your energy system into Mother Earth, because you're a physical being, you need that. And then you connect to source through your crown chakra. There's other chakras up above your crown chakra, which I talk about in my workshops. And this becomes a antenna. So if you clear and attune your chakras regularly, you will have clearer intuition, because it's your antenna between heaven and earth, and you're in the center. This is, you're receiving messages, but it's got to be grounded as well, because intuitive guidance, angelic guidance, is practical. I call it practical spirituality. People think that, people who aren't into angels and spirit think I'm a woo-woo person. I'm not a woo-woo person. I'm a spiritual person. But angelic guidance, all spirituality has to have a physical, practical reason. There has to be a way that it can become something for you that is practical and serves you in your life or for others. Otherwise, what's the point of it? It's fantasy. It's living in a daydream. If it serves you in some way, the chakras are not part of our imagination. They're part of our bodies. And when they're clear, cleansed, and open, our bodies work better. And so does our intuition. So does our energy. So does our law of attraction. Everything works better. Your brain works better. So clearing and opening those chakras keeps your intuition, your third eye. Your third eye isn't a chakra. There is a chakra called the brow chakra, sometimes called the third eye chakra, which is the energy center that spins and moves energy and processes energy in that way. Then you've actually got your etheric third eye, which is different to the chakra. So your chakras being clean, clear, and open process divine pranic energy through your whole entire body, mixing with the earthly energy and your bodily energy, and keep everything flowing and energized. And this energizes and expands your third eye, helps you to see. Second thing that the angels wanted me to tell you about today is have periods of the day, as many as possible, where you are unplugged. If you find yourself sinking into a scrolling binge and you can't stop, you know there's one of those hooks that's hooked you in. And it's probably in your solar plexus, and it's probably in your third eye, because you're using your physical eyes, which are energetically connected to your third eye, to see. And that sort of brain fog feeling that you get from being on the internet too much is a sign that your third eye is blocked up. So unplugging as often as possible. Definitely try to give yourself at least an hour a day off, and a couple of hours before bed that you're not doing it. And also, I always have one day off screen free. Some days, maybe I'm teaching a workshop and I've got to keep my phone on for certain reasons, but if I can't do it on a Sunday, I'll do it on another day. That's my screen-free day, and I always feel so much better and more refreshed. I mean, I do this for a living. I do readings for a living. I can't afford my third eye to be blocked and stuffed up. The third thing that they wanted me to tell you about is the angel of clairvoyance, which is Archangel Raphael. Now, Archangel Raphael's energy traditionally is this bright emerald green, and I always say it's almost like a balm. It's like a thick energy, because he uses that energy to coach you when you're unhealthy, when you're unwell. You can ask Archangel Raphael to give you this energy, and it's like medicine. It protects you. It helps your cells to activate their healing ability, and it's very, very powerful. That's why if I ever go to a doctor, or for any reason, even a dentist, I will say, Raphael, please work through and with this person. So he's a healing angel, but he is also very closely associated with the eyes, and particularly the third eye. So you can ask Archangel Raphael to cleanse and purify and open your third eye. He's actually speaking to me right now, and he's saying, ask them to ask me to cleanse and purify their whole bodies, because he's showing me that the energy from computers and phones and false lighting is actually drains you, and it's that he's showing me it almost looks like gray rain over your aura. It takes away your sparkle, so you have to be very, very conscious of that. So you regularly ask Archangel Raphael to cleanse and purify your energy, particularly of electromagnetic vibrations and frequencies to do with computers, internet, and even the drama element. Because, you know, social media works just pretty much the same as all advertising, is that it hooks you in with something either sensational, scary, what if. And so it's because they know humans, they know our psychology, that if it's going to trigger our adrenaline and if it's going to trigger our drama, appetite for drama, and drag our attention in, it works. So be conscious of that, because then you'll not be so controlled. So asking Archangel Raphael to help you with that, and also to clear and purify your third eye. And that will help you to be much more clear, energetically anyway, but also intuitively clear, so that you can tune out of that fear vibe and start tuning in to what's real and true for you. Because whilst you're in that, it's like a herd mentality. You could be caught up in all of that fear. You're not listening to what your angels and intuition is telling you. So many years ago, this is quite a funny story. It's funny now. I was on a beach with my two beautiful dogs, and they were both old at that time, so they weren't really able to protect me. And I'd gone to this beautiful beach, and there was no one else on it, and I found a shady spot right at the top by the dunes, and it was on the bank of a creek that ran into the ocean. And I was reading my book, and I could see a man on the other side had appeared, and he'd taken all his clothes off. And I was like, okay. So I just sort of turned my back slightly and continued reading my book. And then out the corner of my eye, I could see him dancing and waving his arms around, and like a crazy, trying to get my attention. So I was like, uh-oh, what's this? And my intuition was just going, get out of here, get out of here. But there was a rebellious part of me that was just like, bloody hell, I've come all this way. I've got my lunch, I've got my flask, I've got my puppies in their bowl of water, I've got my book. I really wanted to just relax. Why should I go just because of this dude? So I sat there a bit longer, and it started to get worse. He started yelling, and he started doing really crude things. So I was like, I've got to go. So I packed up everything, and I've got two very slow old dogs and a heap of stuff in my bag, and I start tramping down the beach, and I know I've got to go past him. So I decided to go to the waterline and keep walking towards the car park. Now, this is a beach that I have to walk through a lot of bush to get to my car. And this guy starts to follow me, but parallel. So he's at the top of the beach, I'm at the bottom of the beach. I've got my head down, I've got my dogs, and I'm trying to make my way to the car park, but he's following me parallel. So he's going to intercept me when I get to the car park. So then I'm thinking, oh, God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And then I remembered to call on Archangel Michael. And Archangel Michael just said to me, sit down. And I was like, huh? Sit down. And he said it again, sit down. So I just sat down facing the ocean, put the dogs next to me, and looked out at the ocean to turn my back to the man. And my heart was thumping, and I couldn't see anybody else on the beach. And I said, can I get up now? No, stay there. Stay there. So after a few minutes, I looked down the other end of the beach, and there were some people walking towards me. And that's why it was absolute genius that Archangel Michael told me to sit down, because by sitting down, I'd stopped the whole process. I'd turned my back to the person that was freaking me out, and he knew that there would be some people coming up the beach, and I waited for them and walked with them to the car park, and by which time this guy had obviously spotted them and had disappeared into the bush himself too, hiding somewhere. So it's a very weird story, but at the same time, it indicates, the angels wanted me to tell it because it shows you that when you are in fear, it's very difficult to tune out of your ego or what your mind wants you to do. But by listening to spirit, when you're in danger, when you're in a place where you feel vulnerable, when you're afraid, that ego voice can get louder and it can make you panic. But if you can tune into your intuition and your angels, you will get the right guidance. And intuitive guidance isn't Shakespearean novels. It is simple, direct, and to the point. They'll either flash a picture, they'll give you a word or 2 words. It will be very direct and to the point, and you'll understand it. It won't be something that you have to kind of pick apart and Google. It's literally, you will get the meaning straight away. So that's my message for you today. And so I have a chakra activating meditation that's really very good. It was recorded professionally. It's on my website, on my store. I actually use it. I use it myself. Some mornings I stay in bed and meditate, and I just bring that up on my phone. And it's really good for starting your day and for cleansing through your chakras. It's not expensive, so that's something that you can do. There's also a chakra lecture on my free stuff. I always give you free stuff, so don't complain if I'm trying to sell you something. There's a chakra thing on my free stuff. It's not a meditation, but it explains the chakras a little bit. I'm sending you angel blessings. If you would like to book a private session with me, or a block of private sessions to get through a barrier in your life, something that's holding you back, something that you know is keeping you stuck in fear and negativity and dark energy, please personal message me, email me, put a comment on here, and I will get back to you. I'm sending you love and light, and see you tomorrow for day 8 of the Spiritual Challenge.